This is Jacob with J&D Photography, and you are experiencing Sparking Fire, the podcast for innovative artists and entrepreneurs. Today I have a really special guest. His name is TJ Burks, and he is with Erratic Aperture. Say hi, TJ.
Hi, TJ.
Hi, TJ.
You're gonna get like 100 of those, I'm sure. That's gonna happen.
So, TJ, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Me, I am. I don't know. I'm just a dude. You know, I've been shooting for like 10 years now. Video, 8 years photography. You know, I'm a pretty casual guy. I like to hermit up at home. You know, not really too special to say about me. All I do is shoot. You know that. Yeah. Like that's pretty much my sole thing, and you know. But yeah, I'm just a doodly dude in the world doing doodly things.
Nice. And so, tell me about Erratic Aperture.
That started about 5 years ago. Right after college, I knew I needed a brand, and I've never been good. I've always been good at branding other people and naming other things like bands, but I could never figure out something that worked for me. And I started out under a banner called Blue Fedora because on my first venture, we were downtown and I found a blue fedora in the gutter and was like, this must be a sign. I'll go with that. And it was a horrible name. Every time I watermarked something, it was, I hate this name. And I was committed to it though. I felt like I'd made a decision. And then finally I just pulled the trigger and changed. And I thought about it for months and months and months. And then erratic was something that always popped up in my head. Like this shoot is erratic or this thing is erratic. Cause you know, I do a lot of wild stuff. Yeah. And that just kind of came together with that. It kind of dawned on me as I used that word so much. I'm like, erratic guys, you know, fits for the name. And I Googled names with erratic in it, and Erratic Aperture was like the second one I looked up, and no one seemed to claim that one yet. And I thought that's a pretty clever name, I think, that no one's gotten it. So I stamped a flag in it, and I've been using it ever since.
Yeah. I think it's really cool because, like, you know, my business name is J&D Photography, and that's just like my initials, but it's always important to have like a really distinctive name to help your business stand out. It's like Erratic Aperture, it really kind of jumps out at you.
Thank you. Yeah, I thought so too. You know, it fit because you know, photographers have specializations, you know, and I found myself all over the place. I was doing commercials and doing fire spinning, and I did an act with a freak show for a while, and I thought, yeah, erratic fits. Yeah.
So how did you get started in photography and videography?
Well, initially I wanted to be a filmmaker, and I still am somewhat here and there. I dabble in it, but I went to college to get a film degree and went through the 2-year course at Jeff State, which is no longer a thing. Yeah. And I got into film, and I enjoyed it. But at the time, like the schedule was just way too erratic. Yeah. And you know, I had a really good steady job that I didn't, you know, really want to let go of the seniority and the pay raises I'd gotten there, and so I started doing photography, just messing around for fun, because I was, you know, I've been doing it a long time. I was part of the whole DSLR renaissance that happened about 10, 15 years ago. Like right out of college, I got a Rebel T5, and for the longest time, T2i, excuse me. And for the longest time, all I ever did was film. I never took pictures on it, like ever. And then I just decided I had a lot of free time and said, there's this big commodity here I could be taking advantage of, and I'm not. So I kind of just blossomed from there, and I fell in love with it. And you know how it goes. Over time, ooh, how does this work? And strobe. And then, God, I will never forget the first time I actually used an Alien B on a shoot, and it was like it was over for me at that point. Yeah. Like I've been nonstop on like photo and video ever since. Yeah. I have phases. I'll leap back and forth between the two. It's hard for me to focus fully on both in something, but yeah, I love to do both all day, every day.
So you started with videography. Let's talk about your education.
Yeah.
So you said you spent like 2 years in film school. Like talk to me about that.
Yeah, Jeff State had a television and radio production course they used to do. They don't offer it anymore, unfortunately.
So when we say Jeff State, that's like Jeff State the college, right?
Yeah, Jefferson State Community College. Yeah. Yeah, I went to both campuses too. I went the one over on 280 for a few classes, and then incidentally, I only live like 10 minutes away from the main campus, so it was very convenient.
So like what kind of called you to take like 2 years of schooling as opposed to like, you know, going out and like learning things on your own?
I'm not gonna lie to you. It was honestly just, I guess, old-fashioned values getting me. You know, at the time I should have realized it, and let this be a cautionary tale. Because my professor himself in college, all he did, my main film professor, I had lots of professors, but the guy that was mainly about the video stuff, he was like, told us straight up, he's like, you're throwing your money away. Yeah. And that shocked me. I was like, oh God, don't tell me. Yeah, like, no kidding. Like, I took it to heart. I did, but at the same time, I continued it and I finished it because I wanted the degree. Yeah. You know, like, I was hell-bent on having that degree, whether it got me jobs or not, but... Yeah.
So did you feel that, you know, there really just wasn't a lot of, like, avenues for you to learn things outside of, like, a collegiate setting?
Well, not around here, I would say. I mean, it depends. Like...
Because you're from Alabama, right?
Yeah. Yeah. My whole life. Yeah. And...
So, you know, you didn't grow up in, like, L.A. or, like, the traditional places?
No, I've been around the block since then, obviously, but yeah, I've pretty much always stayed in Alabama. Yeah. You know, I've thought about moving from time to time, but, you know, my roots are pretty firmly planted here in Birmingham, so... Yeah.
So how did you feel about the quality of your education when you went to film school?
Actually, I got lucky. It was very, very good. My professor, he was a guy named James Carr, and this was the most shoot from the hip, no bull man I have ever met. Yeah. Like, he told us straight up, he's like, you will sink or swim. There is not everyone gets a happy ending in this business. Yeah. At the time, he even told us, he was like, the reason I'm here teaching is because video has become a very hard field. Yeah. You know, and sadly enough too, he to this day is one of the best cinematographers I've ever met. Like, you wouldn't believe what this guy did to get the results. Like, he would cross mountains and oceans to get the results he wanted. And this was mostly like in the era of tape to tape stuff. He wasn't even shooting digital and a lot of stuff. This guy was a warrior. Yeah. But he's actually, I believe, teaches music now. He's out of video completely. And it was just like, oh, it was like, for me, it was like watching, you know, your mentor or your sensei, like, fall in battle. But I mean, but really, it's just he's a smart guy with a lot of feathers in his hat. So.
And you know, he's doing okay. And that's a decision that we all kind of have to make at some point or the other. Like, if what you really love to do is worth pursuing in the face of, like, you know, just all this competition and you know, like, you know, lack of business. And that's just a decision that he made for himself.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's one thing I could give if I've had to give advice to any budding videographer is, like, be versatile, have lots of skills. Yeah. Lots and lots of skills. Like, you never know when one or the other will suit you, save you money, get you a gig. Like, this is a job that is all about learning. You never stop learning. Yeah, like, that's true. It's better to learn to be a better learner than to be a better shooter or editor or whatever. Like, learning to learn is the best thing you could ever do for yourself in this business.
Yeah, I think so too. Like, even with me, like, I started out as a pure photographer, and I've only picked up video in, like, the last, like, 2.5 years.
Yeah, you've done really well too.
And it's changed me for real because, like, you know, it's just opened up, like, a lot more opportunities for me.
You're like the reverse me.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Yeah,
and, like, before, I felt kind of like pigeonholed because, like, you know, I could only, like, take pictures. And so I was like, well, I'm losing all this business. I need to learn. I need to pick up a video camera and learn those skills and do this kind of job. Yeah. So let's talk about, like, after you graduated, like, what was your path of, like, you know, being, like, a filmmaker?
Like, right out of college. Yeah. Well,
like, did you do, like, internships or, like, work with people?
I did. Yeah, I interned for a small wedding photography company that wanted a video guy on the side for about a year, and then after that, I interned at ABC 3340. And that was soul crushing. Like, really? I respect the hell out of anybody that can survive in the news field because that is, to this day, one of the hardest jobs I've ever had. Yeah, like, emotionally, mentally, physically.
And you're, like, on call, like, 24/7. Yes. Right? You have to, like, drop everything.
Yes, and go. At the time I interned there too, it was when the last big snowstorm hit.
Oh Lord, the one like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, I got caught in the crap. Like,
yikes! It
was bad. Might have been like March. I don't remember exactly when it was, but yeah, it was terrible. I mean, and it was sad too because I kind of watched how the news was evolving, and it was shrinking. Like, when I started there, I was only there for maybe 6-8 months. I don't remember exactly, but when I started there, a regular crew was about 3 people. You know, talent, camera, grip. Yeah. And then I watched it slowly go from 3 to 2 to where anchors were just taking everything out on their own and doing it.
Yeah. I saw one guy, he was at the Bernie Sanders rally. He was working for, I think, like ABC or something like that.
Right.
And he had a cell phone on a gimbal with like a microphone on it. And he was just like a one-man band doing interviews.
Wow.
Yeah, and I've seen like, pictures of reporters like setting up their own cameras on the side of the road and like, lighting everything. And that's just how it is because like, the budgets are just gone.
Yeah.
For like that kind of like crew.
I literally watched it begin to shrink, and I saw the writing on the wall, and I bailed before they were going to give me my layoff letter. You know, I knew what was going on. Haven't really gone back to news since. I just kind of did that to see if I would be interested in any kind of photojournalism or video journalism, and no.
And like for me, like, I've secretly kind of thought, because I'm more of like a documentary, like photographer and filmmaker. So like, doing things like narrative shorts or like, straight up documentary style stuff is like really appealing to me. And I've always thought like, man, it would be really great to be like a newspaper photographer, but just the industry is just shot.
Yeah.
And do you know David Hobby at all?
David Hobby? No.
The strobist. Anyway,
no, I don't think so.
He's a guy who used to work for, I think it was like the Boston Globe. And it was in like the early 90s. And he saw the writing on the wall like you did.
Yeah.
Because like, he saw the newspapers kind of like, scaling down and like firing staff. And he was like, I got to get out of this. So he was like a career photojournalist. And he walked away and started this website called strobist.com, where he would like teach photographers about like, studio lighting and lighting on location and things like that.
Oh.
And, but for me, like the real kicker about like, no, this will never happen for me, like being a reporter or like a photojournalist, in like the traditional sense, was when the Chicago Tribune-Times fired all of their photographers and replaced them with the journalists.
Yeah.
Right? They basically said like, here's an iPhone, it's good enough. Just go take pictures while you're doing your interviews and that's good enough.
Yeah.
And they actually fired like a couple of like Pulitzer prize-winning photographers.
Yeah.
And it showed.
It's about the bottom dollar.
Yeah.
The internet's wreaking havoc on them.
Yeah.
They're trying to cut, any spare meat they can.
Yeah.
It's a sad state of affairs, really.
But for me, it's kind of tragic because, like, I think the value of content is still remarkably strong. And I thought, to myself, when I heard the news about the Chicago Tribune-Times, I thought that was like the most terrible mistake they could have made. Like, they lost, not only the talent that came with those photographers, but also the interpersonal connections that those photographers had built up in the community. Like some of those photographers could walk into like some of the most dangerous neighborhoods in the city, and they would be like welcomed with open arms because like they knew that they would be represented correctly.
Yeah.
And so like for them to get fired and to lose that connection, like these like fresh faced reporters, they couldn't get the same angles that that these photographers could.
Yeah, I'll tell you from experience too. Yeah, sometimes it takes some time because not everybody appreciates somebody walking into their comfortable area with a camera.
Right.
And if it's, I've learned that lesson the hard way a few times, which I get it. Like I totally understand being in their position. Like, yeah, it definitely reflects the value that's starting to get put in place with them. Like they don't. I guess it's just there's so much volume. Like you can go to Shutterstock or Getty and get something that happened 5-10 minutes ago. Typically. Like because there's no more middleman. It's all beamed straight to them, and these hubs, and in these places too, they become the middleman for photographers to get their media to sources.
Yeah.
But now they're shaving things off too. Like I heard something recently that I can't remember. I think it was Getty or a section of it is going completely free.
Yeah.
And there's only one person I can think that's going to pay for that.
Yeah.
is the contributors.
And actually, a lot of the news sources have user submitted like imagery. So they'll say like, hey, if you're on site at this news event, submit your photos and videos right now.
Yeah.
They'll do like a call to action like live.
And then there's live streaming and Facebook Lives, and everyone's a correspondent now. Yeah. Everyone that's willing to share a public event is correspondent, especially with Facebook. Even if you just post it, it's kind of a fair use thing.
Yeah, it's true. But kind of getting back to like your path in photography and videography. So you graduated from a film school. You worked for a couple of companies. And so like, what was your move after that, after you left like the news station?
After that, I kind of knew from just asking around and plugging the market that it was already pretty exceedingly hard to get a steady video job in Birmingham or in the outerlying areas. So I went freelance like pretty much from the start. I picked up whatever I could find, and it was rough going for a good bit, like the first 2-3 years, and picking up part-times here and there while I figured out what I needed to do and what gear I needed to get and all that mess. But like right out of college too, the first thing I really freelanced in was film because that was my first love and my first baby. Yeah. And like that was going back to like the scheduling, you know, it was rough. Like shoots would be from 12 to 12 and yeah, like it just depended. You know, it depended on what you were doing, and if the film was versatile in its locations, you could be all over the state. And I mean, most of the time you're paid fair if you work for the right people. You know how it is out there. But it was just very, very exhausting mentally for the amount of pay I was pulling in. And I knew that, you know, just landing my own gigs with something on the side was going to pay a lot more and preserve my body.
Exactly. So like, you know, what kind of ideas were you throwing around your head? Like, you know, because you've shot like everything as far as I can see in your portfolio. You've done like weddings and like, you know, fire dancers and just like, you know, freak shows, just anything and everything. So like, you know, what was the moment where you were like, I'm going to do this and kind of pursue that?
Well, the only niche I ever really succeeded in and was able to keep mulling away at was wrestling, which I never saw coming.
Yeah, like how did you get into that anyway?
Well, in college at the time, I was a pretty big fan. I was really, really deep into it. I still am, but back then I was pretty fanatical. And you know, I was doing the camera thing, and it dawned on me for a long time doing it and never to think about trying to shoot shows. I knew there was a few going on in Bama, but I didn't know where and how far they were, and I was already a poor college kid, so I didn't really pursue going to them much. Like, I've never actually been to a wrestling show as a fan. Right. Like, I've other than like a big, you know, like a major promotion. But the first thing I did, I was like, oh, I need to figure out how it's going to be, like how I'm going to react to it. So I found a show, and I looked on, shit, I guess it was Facebook, like there was some social media platform, and I found a promotion in Huntsville. And I messaged the promoter, and I was just like leveled with him. You know, hey, I'm a fan of wrestling, and I want to try shooting a show. Do you care if I just show up with my friends and we shoot it? And he was like, yeah, sure. Like, he told us like whatever. You know, he even let us get in the show for free, which I thought was pretty sweet. And it was so dark in there. And this is like when I had my Rebel T2i. So the low light performance is no bueno. No. It still looks pretty good, like compared to what I saw out there, because what made me think about trying it too was I saw there was a hole in the market. Right. There was video out there, but it was really low quality. Like, we're talking like cell phones 8 years ago, and just so I took my Rebel, and my friend had a Rebel, so we went out there and we cammed it. You know, and oh man, let me tell you, those Rebels were not made to do that. Both of them overheated numerous times. Wow, that actually happened? Oh, handfuls of times. Yeah, a little red indicator shows up on the screen, like a temperature bar. And it just screams at you like, I'm dying, stop. I thought that was just like a Sony problem. No, this is the heat sinks in those Rebels back in the day apparently were just no good. Yeah, and you guys were like rolling for like hours on end. Oh man, yeah, that show had like 8 matches. Good lord. And it was like a 2.5 hour show. Yeah. The average nowadays is about 8 matches. It depends, but yeah. And you know, the pace is quick nowadays. They're like 10-minute matches, so show will be about 2 hours maybe. Yeah. But yeah, that was harsh. I had no stabilization. I had one tripod. It was hella dark. I think the ISO was like 1,000,000. But it turned out good. Like, it got some attention here and there, you know. And the only thing is, for a while, the only people I could get to let me show up at was deathmatch wrestling. Which is like really dangerous. So is that kind of close to like backyard wrestling in a way? It is similar. It is similar. Depending on who you talk to, they either love the comparison or hate the comparison. But yes, it's akin to that. Some of the shows I've been to at least 3 this year where there wasn't even a wrestling ring involved. Huh. Yeah. No ring. No ring. Yeah. Huh. Just 2 guys with a lot of breakable objects and a lot of anger. So this is like really like indie kind of stuff. Yes. Yes. Or especially early on. I didn't get anything that was like, I guess, major until I did a promotion in Birmingham. It was Birmingham hardcore wrestling. They ran in bars and stuff like that, and that was wild. Like there was so much going on with that one, and that kind of wrapped up after a while, and I was kind of left without anything to do. So I went back to pursuing other freelance stuff, and then GCW picked me up, and that was the kickstart into doing it pretty much all the time. Right. Because they were a pretty big promotion. They had been around already for about 7 years, I think. They had a TV deal at once, and I got contacted by their one of their producers, Fast Eddie Lane.
Yeah.
And he asked if I'd be interested in filming, and I was like, sure.
Yeah.
And you know, I shot them for like 2 years straight.
Wow.
Sometimes 2 shows a month. Usually it was 1, but sometimes I do 2 shows a month.
Yeah.
Did that for a long time. Picked up a couple of other one shots here and there. Most, you know, sometimes they wouldn't call me back. Sometimes they would.
Right.
But I was with them for about 2 years, and that's pretty much how I developed my clientele. Is with wrestling, it helps itself because you see different faces every month from all parts of the country.
Yeah.
And then if your work stands out to them, they recommend you to people from where they are.
Yeah.
That's kind of in short, like how I've gotten to get kind of all over the Southeast. Is shows bring people to me, and I get a chance to show out, and then they take the footage home, and then people in their area see it. They ask questions, and it kind of writes itself.
And I bet it's like a really small community too. Like everybody knows everybody pretty much.
It is.
Yeah.
And I mean, it is half the country.
Yeah.
Like from here to maybe the mid coast, there's guys that are like best friends, but they live 1,000 miles away from each other. But they know they'll cross paths again eventually. Yeah. At least once a month.
So talk to me about like the tiers of like wrestling. So like there's like backyard wrestling, and then there's kind of like the minor leagues of wrestling, and then you got the WWE on top. Like give me a breakdown of that.
There is like an interesting tree to it. Like it'll change.
Like, what's the food chain?
It'll change depending on who you ask.
Yeah.
Like, there's the backyard wrestling thing. That's actually not as prominent as it used to be. I remember in the 90s on America Online, old, there you could find them all over the place. And, you know, it was crazy, but kids were getting hurt. Like, it was, you know, so that's one of the things, it's almost a taboo subject with wrestling. Guys,
like, honestly, man, like some of the craziest stuff I've ever seen is from backyard wrestling.
Yeah, I can tell you some stories. Yeah, I mean,
I'd love to hear them.
Yeah, there's not.
We'll save them for like the end. So
yeah, there's some stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's the backyard kids, and then there's what's called I guess I can use wrestling terminology, right? That'd be educational.
Sure.
There's some that people refer to as outlaw shows.
Really?
And outlaw shows are shows that, you know, they have a building, they have a ring, they sell tickets, you know. But the wrestlers in the ring either are not trained, or they don't conduct themselves like they're trained. And I guess that's what, if you had to say there was like a mud bottom tier, that would probably be it.
So an outlaw show.
Outlaw show. That's what they're called. Outlaw. They call them outlaw because they're not trained. So they're kind of going, you know, cowboy about it.
Exactly.
And I have been to a lot of those. I will not name names, but I have been to a lot of those, and you can definitely tell when you're at an outlaw show. I'll just put it that way. Like, even if you're not a fan of wrestling, even though it's all just... No, trust me. If you can tell the difference between an outlaw show and an actual indie wrestling show. And then step up from that, you've got your basic indie wrestling show. And these are the kids that are working hard. They're going to the gym. They cut promos. They get gear made. They don't go to Walmart and buy a Punisher t-shirt. Or wrestling gym shirts. They've got knee pads. They care. They actually care. They want to get signed. They want to do it. And then there is sort of an upper echelon indie thing going on right now. And these are, I guess, the promotions that are featured on stream sites, like IWTV. Plug. IWTV is one. Fight TV shares a lot. Smart Mark used to be one. They recently merged with IWTV, though. So now they're a bigger, more monstrous thing. And these are the shows where you will most likely see the future TV people. I've shot a lot of these shows. And 3 people last year alone, ended up getting picked up by the WWE.
Wow.
And we have a joke too about the people we work with, because like we'll work with someone and they'll get signed. So we like to say we're like Lucky Charms. Like, let us do your shots and you'll get signed. Look, we have like 5-10 people that are hell. I shot John Morrison earlier last year. He's back in the WWE now. What? You're welcome, John. But yeah, you've got those shows would be like Bizarro Lucha or Southern Underground Pro Action Wrestling. Like you may not have heard of some of these promotions, but a lot of the new people, if you like wrestling, that you're seeing on TV were wrestling at these shows 2-3 years ago. And the WWE does watch these shows. It's like their scouting league. There's official promotions they scout from, like everyone knows about NXT. But there's also Evolve, MLW. These are the Evolves and the MLWs. This is like the layer right under WWE and, you know, Ring of Honor and the big names, AEW. they actually have their producers come to the ring and show up on TV at these promotions. That's how like open they are about their relationship with them. But yeah, there's a robust layer going on, and that's why I guess it's easy to get a misconception about wrestling, because people, when they see wrestling, they could see anything. They could see Outlaw Show, or they could see something pro. And if you see an Outlaw Show, it's one of those things where it's like, huh, you know, like that figures. Yeah, it's like, yeah. But their shows really, that I, hand to God, like, it's a term we like to use. We throw it around like I guess jokingly, it's American kabuki.
Really?
American kabuki.
That's a great analogy. I like that.
Yeah, I've always wanted to do a wrestling documentary and call it that. But I have seen shows that have genuinely moved people to tears with what was happening. Like, I won't bore you with details, but there are things that they played all the elements right with what they had to work with. And seeing that happen when you're there, it's like, it's pretty fascinating.
It really is.
How it can permeate someone's psyche so deeply with, you know, scantily clad men oiled up in tights.
And we'll talk about the culture in just a second, but like, I kind of just want to reiterate like what we talked about. So you started out as a film student, and then you did some internships, and then worked for a couple of like companies as a newscaster and a wedding photographer. And then you kind of like went out and freelanced on your own and saw a market in wrestling. And you started out with like no portfolio, like no images of wrestling whatsoever, but you wanted to get into it. So you contacted like someone who like ran a show and said like, hey, would you mind if I just kind of showed up and shot some stuff? So you built a portfolio from there. And from there, you kind of like shot other shows and kind of like, you know, worked your way up the food chain. And now you're kind of like where you are right now.
Yeah.
Right. So like, see, there's like a process to all this. Like, and it's really kind of interesting because like everyone that I've ever talked to about like, you know, how their business was built, especially in like the creative field, is that's kind of how it goes. Like, you start from nothing, you learn a skill, you find someone who's willing to, you know, give you a chance on something. You build a portfolio, and based off of that portfolio that you built something bigger, bigger, bigger. It's like stepping stones.
It is. It's a snowball.
Yeah,
it's like a snowball effect. It is. Yeah, it is. It drops in a bucket.
Yeah.
That's why, like, there's a lot of. It's important not to be discouraged, because it is a free, like any freelance. It is up and down. And it's easy to get discouraged, but trust me, like it adds up really. If you constantly, you know, are generous and get firm and you know, put compassion at the forefront, but keep yourself in check and stay driven, like, you can do a lot over time. Because honestly, one of the main reasons I have gotten as far as I have is just like being generous. Like, don't let people walk all over you. But like with wrestling, with me, I see a lot of talent, and I pick my ones that I you know, I see potential in, and I encourage them. And then, you know, they bring me jobs, or they spread my good word, and, you know, get me more bookings. Like,
that's so true, because like kindness will take you so far in life. And like, I think people don't understand that business has so much to do with like your relationship with the person that you're working with.
Yes, it does.
And absolutely. So like I was telling you know, Julie Johnson like the other day, well, last night anyway, that, you know, a lot of people have hired me for weddings, you know, not because of like my artistic skill, but because they liked me. Right? They're like, you know, you look like someone who we could like get along with. So yeah.
There's a dilemma in the artist community, I've noticed. It's like a lot of artists are introverted. And there's nothing wrong with that. I used to be a very heavily introverted person. I feel like I'm kind of coming out of that and becoming an extrovert. But if you are an artist of most types and you are introverted, you're screwed. Like, I learned that the hard way. You know, that's why I wanted to get into film. I thought I could just do my thing on set. I don't have to. Absolutely not.
No.
You know, like, if you're one of the I hate people types, like,
you're not going to make it.
You're not. It's going to be a very, very tough road if you do. And it's only going to get harder. God, if you do make it, God forbid, there's only going to be more people. And so I had to shift my gears pretty quick on that. Like, I became an extrovert pretty fast once I realized I won't say pretty fast. It took me a period of time, but yeah, it's tough to be an artist and not be willing to, you know, share yourself with the world personally outside of your own work.
I like to say that money doesn't grow on trees, it grows on people.
Yeah, that's good.
So like, even if you're like a landscape photographer, at some point you're going to have to interact with someone to convince them to like buy your stuff. Right?
No kidding. Right? You gotta be a salesman.
And like, especially for me in like the wedding photography industry, like I talk to people like every single day. And if that was something that I hated to do, like I never would have made it this far.
Total strangers sometimes.
You know, totally.
You don't know what you're walking into. So you got to be ready for anything.
Like, I talk to at least like 4 or 5 people a day just on Facebook, just messaging me. All right.
Yeah, no kidding. It never stops. You never, and you got to answer it. It can be the difference between eating or not. In some cases.
And like one thing that people like pick up on like really easily is if you're faking it or not.
Yeah.
Right. So like if you're not genuine and authentic about like actually liking people and you got a face on, you can only do that for so long.
Oh yeah, social media and its mask.
Yeah, for real though.
Yeah.
But like, you know, when I'm shooting a wedding, I'm genuinely happy to be there. I'm sure that when you're doing a job, you love being around the people and
you are no kidding. Like I've never seen somebody carry that much gear and still have a smile on their face. I didn't know what was wrong. I thought either Jacob is the most hardest working, positive person ever, or he's insane.
Yeah.
He's totally insane.
Maybe a little bit of both. So
That's why we get along. We know our own kind.
So where do you see yourself as a videographer or just as an artist in general now?
Now?
Yeah.
Oh, God. I'm not going to lie. A little bit lost. You know, it's one of those lull periods. I'm trying to figure out how I can go further than what I have.
Right.
It's tough.
So you're at like a crossroad.
Yeah, you know, because wrestling has been very good to me, but I am getting to the point where I don't want to be perceived as, I mean, I like being the wrestling guy, but I don't want people to think I'm just the wrestling guy. You know, that's the hardest part about doing this is you can do something for a month or two and then that's what you are now. Yeah. You know, and so I've been trying to branch out into other stuff and trying to find an avenue to, you know, do more commercial stuff and do more wedding stuff, do something. Like, I love horror and edgy stuff. That's my forte. But I do want to dabble in something more elegant or moving, even. Something stirring. So I'm thinking about maybe trying to do filmmaking again or even just skits or something to fill the time. But right now, definitely, I see myself as very driven. I feel shockingly confident, which is scary. You know. And I've got a lot of good stuff lined up for this year, so I'm pretty excited. Like, I think back on 5 years ago, and I try to think, well, if you told yourself what's going to happen this year to yourself 5 years ago, how would you react? And and I wouldn't have believed it. Absolutely. So, like, I'm exceedingly proud of that. I know I have a long way to go, though.
But you're kind of wondering, you know, right now, like, what's my next move?
Right. Like, I'm trying not to. Have you ever heard of imposter syndrome?
Yeah, I'm very familiar with that.
I don't want to rest on my laurels, you know. I don't want to just sit and think, you know, I've got this. I've got like 10 bookings this year. That I feel like complacency is death. You know, and
it's true.
And just when you think you've won, you've lost. All these like ideologies come in, like, don't get comfortable. Like, you know, don't freak out, but don't get comfortable. Don't sit on your laurels. That's a trick.
I'm the same way because, like, you know, I think you and I have similar, like, a similar drive. Because, you know, it's like you were saying, like, you know, you could have never imagined, like, that you would be here today from, like, 5 years ago. And I'm the same way because, like, you know, there was a point in time where I was, like, almost begging people to shoot their weddings. And now I'm starting out at, like, you know, over $2,000 just to shoot a wedding, and like that would have blown my mind like 5 years ago. But now, but even now that I'm doing okay with like my photography and everything else, I'm still, you know, looking towards the future and saying, okay, well, what else can I do? Like, how can I expand this or like scale it higher? You don't want to be. I mean, weddings are great, but like, you know, I know you too. You're versatile. You're like me. You can't stay in one place for too long as far as what you're creating. But. Well, the wedding thing is definitely, I definitely admire your drive for that. Like, no kidding. You've come a long way. I remember when you, I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago, you were like, I'm done playing with this wedding thing. And you were not, you were right. You weren't done playing. Like, you have been hardcore ever since. I was done. Like, there was a point where you know, what really did it for me was like, I kind of realized I was just bullshitting. Like, I call myself a wedding photographer, but like, I'd only shot like a handful of weddings. And I was not applying myself the way I should. Right? So I was dating someone else at the time, and she called me out on my shit. You know what she said to me? You know, I said like, oh, I'm doing social media and advertising. And she said, you're basically just dicking around on Facebook for 8 hours a day. And I was. And like, that was like the biggest kick in my ass I ever got. And I was like, I'm just bullshitting myself. I'm not really doing what I should be doing.
I feel that.
And that was like the catharsis to, you know, get my ass in gear and like, you know, actually do something meaningful. No kidding. There's so much false productivity out there. It tricks you. It's busy work.
And it does not settle in until later when you think back on the day and you're like, oh God, like I didn't do anything today. And it keeps you up at night. Like,
exactly.
No kidding. Like, I've taken a lot of tips from how you've been doing it lately. Like, you're definitely killing it. Like, I remember the year ago what you were starting with and how you started incorporating the video. Like, man, like you were killing it. I'm the video guy. I've been doing video for like 10 years, and I was like, man, James killing it. Like, I was like, oh, like, I think one time, I don't remember, it was a long time ago, I commented, I was like, man, I'd be angry at you if you weren't such a nice guy. Like, that's almost even more infuriating. Like,
but yeah, just, yeah, that was like, for me, that was like the turning point, because I was like, I can't just, you know, keep calling what I'm doing actual work when it's not getting me any results.
Man, yeah. And I see so much stuff out of your site now. It's ridiculous. I love it though. I'm happy for you. Like, you worked hard for that.
Did you know that I'm posting like 5 different things a day on like all my social media sites?
Yeah, I noticed it on the Facebook mostly. I Instagram. I'm trying to get more into Twitter, Instagram, and Twitter more so. I kind of go. I post. I leave. Yeah. Because it's cumbersome to me. You know, that's my biggest failing as an artist is social media is a drag. Yeah. It is a drag. Like, I hate to sound like an old guy, but it's a lot to keep up with.
It is.
And it's like, if just Facebook alone, I remember when I schedule posts for my Facebook, it takes me 2 hours just to do Facebook. And it's practically an 8-hour day.
Yeah, especially like from like the video side, like, you know, just making those short clips. It could take like, you know, 30 minutes to an hour just to make one.
Oh, yeah. When you got into video, did you expect so much waiting? So much waiting.
Okay, I heard all the complaints about, you know, the back end of things, but like it was really eye opening. Man, it really was, because like, you know, I thought the backlog for photography was bad. Oh, video is like so much worse. Yeah,
I feel like technology is not keeping up.
No,
it's not. It's not keeping up. Like we have 500 gigabyte hard drives on our camera.
Yeah,
like
gigabyte.
Yeah, and it's like,
and those are the small ones.
It's just hard to find. Yeah, I can't fathom it. I went, and here's the sad part too. I finally broke down. I went and got like an 8 terabyte Western Digital.
Yeah,
like,
same.
Awesome, great. The damn thing went bad on me.
It died?
It didn't die completely.
Okay.
I transferred files from a shoot.
Yeah.
Went and did another shoot. Came back, and those files were gone. I noticed it from Lightroom. I had done some headshots, right? I even went ahead and made a Lightroom catalog. Imported them. Came back to Lightroom. This image cannot be found. And I went and looked. They had vanished.
Wow.
And you know, I did the Windows thing, and it said it found errors, and it fixed the errors, but I'm like, I don't believe you.
Yeah.
I'm returning you.
Yeah.
Like, and believe it or not, I will say this, I got lucky.
Yeah.
All I lost was one frivolous thing I shot for myself. And then there was remember how much you said you hated syncing audio?
Yeah.
I lost a show I shot 2 weeks ago.
Oh, no.
But I had already rendered out the full edit for the stream.
Oh, so lucky.
But
yeah.
It had no sound. So I had to resync every segment of that one raw piece, bit by bit by bit. Like, it was like 8 matches, 5 pre-tapes. So yeah, I sat for like 6 hours trying to figure out, because you'd think in wrestling, well, geez, that seems easy to sync. There's so many sync points with the smashing. No. It's so easy to misinterpret what is what. I ended up finally using the bell ring on most of them and getting it, but you still got to track through this waveform and just you see spot. Luckily, they're predetermined, but
I feel for you, bro. That sucks.
Yeah, I still got to get that returned. Until then, I'm scraping by on my main hard drive. Like, but yeah, that was a hit. I got lucky though. All things considered, it cost me a lot of time, but I got very, very lucky. Yeah. I didn't really lose anything important.
So let's change gears for a second, because like this is something that I wanted to talk to you about.
Yeah.
Because like, I've had experience with it too. So you know, we've been doing this for like a really long time.
Yeah.
And like, there's been points where just like the business just wasn't coming in, and like I've had to take like part-time jobs or like get a full-time job, and just like, so talk to me about that. So like, you know, I think a lot of people are like really proud, and especially me, because like I'm a very like proud and stubborn person.
Yeah.
And so like for me to like say, you know, this isn't working out, I need to kind of step back a little bit. You know, it kind of hurts a little bit.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. Yeah. Especially when you've put so much time and effort into it, and you have a reputation, you know. It's easy to have a reputation, but not be bringing in the bucks.
Yeah.
You know, because people recognize good work, but not everybody pays for good work. But I used to wrestle bad with that. I did. I used to wrestle with it. I used to hate it. Now, I guess because I'm older now, it doesn't really matter to me.
No.
Like, if you really understand the world the way it is and how hard it really is out there, it makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, like, I managed to, like, it was only 2 years ago You know, I was the GM of a Dunkin' Donuts for 2 years on the side. I still shot shows every weekend. It murdered me.
Yeah.
But I didn't let that kill my drive, you know.
Exactly.
I was shooting GCW still and had to drive from 280 to Pill City every Sunday after working a 60-hour week at Dunkin'.
I think that's a life for like a lot of creatives, especially like when you're just kind of starting out. It's like you have like your full-time job, like your day job, and then you have like your passion on the side, and you're building this up and you're trying to maintain that. Yeah. And you're kind of just waiting for that point to where like your passion like overtakes your day job. And sometimes like, you know, you can actually like, you know, quote unquote, make it and leave your full-time job. And then all of a sudden, like you don't get jobs for like 3 months. Yeah. Like what are you going to do?
Yeah. It depends on your market. For me, it's the holidays. They drop around Christmas all the time. But yeah, I think it's important to have like a solid financial thing. Like pride sucks. I have it too, you know. But you'll find it's really easy to swallow your pride when your bills are paid. Yeah, you know,
it's true.
I've come close myself. Like there's times it's feast or famine, really hardcore with me. A wrestler said it best, because he's talking about a wrestler's life. There's nights that he dines with kings and queens, and there's nights he's sitting in alleys eating pork and beans. Yeah. Like, that's the life of a traveler and a freelancer doing your own thing.
It really is.
It's up or down. I mean, it doesn't always have to be, obviously. You just have to find your markets at the right time of year and go. That's why it's good you're versatile. You know, you can do pictures or video commercials. Like, class back to earlier, it's good to have a lot of feathers in your hat. Yeah. You know, to be versatile, especially in this creative field.
But like being real with you, man, like that still affects me too. Because like, you know, I got sick with appendicitis back in the summer.
I remember, that's shocking. Yeah. I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah. I actually had it while I was shooting that wedding with you in Tuscaloosa. Do you remember that one?
I do.
So like I look back on it and like I actually had like a low grade fever, and I didn't realize that it was appendicitis. So I actually shot an entire wedding while I had appendicitis.
Swear to God.
And I went to the hospital like a couple of days after that.
You are not a human being. You had so much stuff. I was like, hey man, you're like, I got it. You're like, Sherpa'd up. I'm like, good, okay. Like, can I get a ride? You know, like, did you jump on the back? Like, yeah, you were a warrior that day.
It's wild because, like, I was, like, uncomfortable. I was, like, I kind of felt like something was wrong, but I was like, I'll just walk it off because that's what I was.
Yeah, you looked like you didn't feel good, honestly. Yeah. But I knew better. I was like, I've been there, though. Yeah. Let's just drive through this shoot. It's all about the shoot right now. Yeah. But I could tell you definitely weren't feeling it for sure. Like, I couldn't, but also at the same time, you were kicking your ass. Like, you were working hard. Yeah. Like,
have to.
I've worked with like 7 or 8 different wedding photographers. I've never seen someone like muscle it like you. Yeah.
But kind of getting back to our original topic. So like, you know, there have been times like, you know, I'm a pretty successful like photographer and videographer. Like I do well for myself. Like I haven't worked a full-time job in like quite a while. But you know, recently like there was like a time where I just, you know, business kind of fell off. And I went to the hospital, which kind of, you know, put me back a little bit. I actually had like, so before we went to the hospital, I actually had like a substantial amount of money like put back. And between like, you know, the hospital bills, I had insurance, thank goodness. Oh, good. And like just, you know, paying for things and like, you know, being off my feet for a while, I got wiped out. Yeah. So like all my savings was just gone. And then just like, you know, I was looking at my finances. I was just like, I have to get a part-time job again. So I got a server at I got a server job at a comedy club for like a couple of months and kind of just to get some money back in. Word. And like I think what I really want to convey to the audience is that, you know, that even if like you're a full-time like creative or an artist, you know, there's no shame in like going back to like something else for a little bit while you get back on your feet. Like it doesn't make you any less of a creative when you do that.
No, I think not, honestly. And I think it's a show of character. Yeah. Too. You know, I mean, your bottom line is more important than what people think about you. Yeah. You know, it's like, it just shows, it is ego. Yeah. You know, it's ego. Like
you want to say like, yeah, I'm doing it all on my own. I'm kicking ass and taking names.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's another thing I think comes from the social media thing. There's an eyeball on us all the time. Yeah. Even if you don't post for a while, people know, they're like, well, what's going on with him? And, you know, it's a lot of assumptions are made quick and it can affect you. It can, like even professionally, it can. Right. And I think that really all that matters is that, you know, you keep your bills paid and you keep yourself afloat. Yeah. Because, I mean, if you huff and puff, you're just going to get put in a worse situation anyway. So it's a show of character.
It really is.
It means you're in it for the long haul. Like, you have your priorities in check.
Exactly.
Because I know a lot of guys out there that would not and have not done that. And, I mean, they end up pawning gear and just scraping by. Like, it's a quality of life thing.
Yeah, and you don't have to. You know, like, it's actually a better decision to kind of just swallow your pride a little bit, get that part-time job, and get your funds back up, and then then kind of get back to business.
And especially if you're already kind of going through a mental battle, like you know, you don't want like late bills and not having food in the fridge. Trust me, I've been there. Like you don't want those kinds of demons on your back as well at any cost.
Right.
You know, as long as it's honest work, do it.
Exactly.
Especially because these days it's kind of hard to find.
Yeah. And I also think that just because you have a full-time job, it doesn't make you any less of an artist or a creative.
Oh, no.
Absolutely not.
No, I know a guy that got signed with NXT in the wrestling industry. He still has his part-time job. Yeah. Like, they pay, but they don't pay all that well, not at that level. So, yeah, there's no shame at all in it. But like, one of the guys I work with at the streaming sites, I see him at every show. You'd think he's working full-time doing that. Nope, he's got a day job. Virtually every professional in the field, like be it wrestling or entertainment, they have day jobs. Yeah. You know, it's about, like, doing what you love, but, like, and you can make it your main thing, but don't make it your only thing. Yeah. Like, you've got to have a source of income, no matter what it is. I know, you know, fire spinners that are bank tellers, and my favorite, Evie, like, I love her to death. She lives up north, I think. I don't remember. It's close to Chicago. But she is an alt model, like, tattoos, beautiful tattoos. Yeah. And she works in social service. Like, she's, like, saving kids and doing good deeds. But you wouldn't, and then, you know, at night goes and sets couches on fire and takes pictures in front of them. Like, you know, it's versatile. People are like onions, you know. Like, you got to have a main thing, but you got to have a source. If your main thing can be your source, that's the goal. But there always has to be a source, even if you have to put your main thing away for a while. Like, you got to stay afloat. You know, capitalism.
And on that note, I kind of want to segue to something that we were talking about earlier, which is like, you know, the illusion of success and like how social media kind of like influences that. Because I think a lot of people, like, they front on like Instagram and like, you know, and Facebook, and they say that, oh, I'm a creator or I'm an entrepreneur, and really they're just kind of full of shit. Yeah. Right. So like they want the image of like being that, but like they're not. Yeah. Yeah. I
think we have YouTube to thank for that too. There's been a lot of people that are like, I want to be a YouTuber, and now they're creators. They even call it the creator studio, which is like, they throw that word around lavishly now. Yeah. Creator. It's everywhere. Yeah. It's another social media norm, and everyone wants to do that. Everyone wants to be on Twitch. Everyone wants to get rich quick. Yeah. You know, it's like a gold rush. Yeah. But like way late in the game.
Yeah. And like, I think what people kind of make the mistake like doing this is that they think it's quick money. Yeah. It's not. Like, you know, it took me a good like 5 years to get to where I am now. Yeah. And that's just like, you know, and that was like two to 3 years of like just busting my ass and 2 years of just kind of like feeling it out. So like, it's not a fast process. And like anybody who does like make it faster, like great, but that's not par for the course at all.
And you got to be like versatile because it changes. Yeah. That's why it's so hard, I think, is you figure out something that works, but then it will stop working. Like Facebook ensures that. It's always shifting what times of day you should post, when you should post. It's a lot. It's a lot to keep up with.
So like, why do you think people like want to front and like put out this image that, you know, that they're like successful or just like something that they're clearly not?
Validation. Yeah. Big time.
I agree with that.
I think it stems from, you know, popularity. Yeah. Like they want to be validated and they want to not feel as alone. I might be getting a little deep with that, but I know a lot of people that they use, let's say, art or whatever like a drug. They will pour into something, and they need that validation on Facebook. Yeah. Like I knew a girl. And she would be inconsolable if something she posted only got like 5 or 6 likes. Like she would get a lot on some, and then some were just, and then she'd be inconsolable. And it was like, you know, kind of disheartening because I feel like it was almost like watching an addict. Yeah. If something didn't get her fix or like her rush, it wrecked her and sent her into this really scary depression. And it's just like, yeesh, like I didn't really believe in how much of a grip social media had on people until that. Yeah. And that was really scary.
Some people actually like live and die based on like likes.
Yeah.
And that's sad.
It is scary, man. Like I guess because I'm an old guy, I don't know, I didn't see it coming this way, but it is some Orwellian crazy shit.
It really is.
It's wild.
And like you know, you and me, like we were there, like when like the dark magic was written, so to speak. So like
I remember The Matrix and Prodigy and Juno,
right?
Or dinosaurs.
Yeah.
I remember the meteor that came and
exactly. So like, do you remember when social media first came out with like Facebook?
Oh yeah,
yeah. So like that
I remember almost before Facebook, honestly. Like MySpace.
Yeah.
I was there for all of it. So
did you have like the glittery MySpace?
I didn't get into MySpace. Yeah, I thought I would. I never actually had a MySpace. When I was in my teens or my early teens, we had something called the Palace.
Really?
The Palace. Mm-hmm. It was something, I think it existed on AOL, but it was just it was like a clipboard. Like you'd have different backgrounds and you had an avatar and you could click and it would just place your avatar there. Mm-hmm. And you talked in speech bubbles.
Yeah.
And that was like my earliest experience of like social media that was not a chat room.
Yeah.
It was like a chat room because in that one you could actually post like updates about yourself and things.
Yeah.
But to a very, 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 very small degree.
Right.
That's like the earliest I can think of.
Yeah. So I remember like MySpace, like LiveJournal. But like what really kind of like, I think like for me, like the true marker of like current social media is like is when Facebook kicked off.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
Like, and that was such like a huge thing because, it was like, it was almost like a cultural event. Because it started with like college students, and then your parents got on Facebook, and then like your grandma got on Facebook.
It was an interesting, spread.
Yeah.
It got big right as I was halfway through college.
Yeah.
And at first I was like, screw it. Like I was like, MySpace. I wasn't interested.
Yeah.
But I got lulled to do it eventually, like everyone else. Like
exactly.
The drones got me.
Yeah. And it's just so wild because like, Facebook is only 14 or 15 years old, something like that.
Yeah.
And now it's just like the dominant form of like it's one of the most dominant forms of communication on the planet.
It controls many aspects of people's lives now too.
Yeah.
I was intrigued to find out when they added you could do payments over Facebook.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, now they've got our money.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's wild.
Like Apple has a credit card that you can have.
No
I kid you not.
No way.
They have an actual card and they call it the Apple Card.
That's wild.
Yeah. So like they've got their fingers on like all like various aspects of society, and it's scary and like you said Orwellian at the same time.
Yeah.
Because these like corporate entities are basically have like a very big say in like what happens in our day-to-day life.
It feels like tentacles like just sinking in because they get more and more and more as they go.
I know. I said that to say this. So like, we have all these like, major corporations who have like a big influence over our lives. And it's basically changed the way that we function as human beings.
Yeah.
Right? So like, it's changed the way that we do business. Like we've gone from like, print and radio and television advertising to like, actually paying money to like this website to make sure that your stuff gets seen.
Yeah. It's a racket, man. Yeah. Everyone does it too.
It really is.
That's what SEO became. Is like SEO is almost like the underground, trying to like teach people to avoid that. But I won't lie to you, from doing it, it is almost unavoidable.
Yeah.
At this point, they're crunching down on it hard.
Right.
It feels like an internet caste system. Oh, if you're successful enough to pay for this advertising, then we will help you be more successful. Yeah. It's like. I mean, it's weird. Some people see it as a way of separating the, the serious ones from the not so serious, but it's discouraging.
It is discouraging.
How can you beat money? No one can beat money.
And like one amazing thing that I found about these social media platforms is that there's kind of like a pattern. And so like the platform will come out, you have like as much organic reach as you possibly want, and then they slowly like crack down on it and start kind of making you pay for that reach over time. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So there's like a golden age of the platform where it's totally free.
I'm just waiting on TikTok Premium to be announced.
Yeah, me too. So like I just started my account like 4 or 5 months ago. I just crossed 1,000. And it's been amazing because like the last time that I remember like, that kind of reach being accessible for like no money whatsoever, it was like Facebook. Yeah. In like 2004, 2006. Right?
That was, early days. Yeah. I guess sometimes I get similar results on Twitter, which shocks me. Like, I didn't know Twitter was such a video powerhouse, but apparently it is. Yeah, I've been hearing a lot of things about TikTok and its reach. But like you, I can only feel like the noose is tightening already. It is. And then when its popularity grows and they see the money in it, like, the beast will get hungry as it grows.
It will. But so like you've talked about how like most of your advertising is just through like word of mouth. Like, have you found any kind of success in your business, using other forms of advertising?
Not really. Like, I used to do some boosted ads here. I won't say that. I've had a few there. I ran a contest here or there for a free photo shoot, and I'd get like 200-300 new likes on the Facebook, which was in a market I hadn't really permeated much yet. So it's definitely helped. $5 or $10 can score you some genuine likes on your page if you're looking to get reach. Will it get you booked?
Yeah.
I can't say that I've gotten booked off one, but I have greatly increased my reach. And it seemed like genuine people because it was, there were some mutuals and they posted. So I was worried about bots. I'm always worried about bots. But it did me some good there. I won't say it got me booked, but it got me closer to it. It brought more opportunities to my door. But word of mouth has always kind of been my biggest thing, honestly. But that's mostly for the wrestling industry because everything there is word of mouth. Yeah. Really. That's why, and like I said, it works best that way. Like, no matter where you're shooting, it's like they come to you. In any case, I go to Indiana for some shows. Really? The sky's the limit when you go there. Yeah, I've met guys from West Coast and Canada, and I send them back with what I can do. And, that does the work for you in some cases. Not saying I sit on my laurels, but like I spend a lot of time putting highlights together. And if I'm especially proud of a shot, I have to incorporate it. And the rat race. But yeah, social media posts and word of mouth have pretty much kept me going. I shoot almost every weekend, every month, just about. And like one thing that's kind of wild for me is like some people find like more success on some platforms than they do on others. Yeah. Like I was talking to Julie last night, and she has like a massive Instagram following, and she actually books like almost all of her clients off of that. Wow. Well, other than like word of mouth. And for me, that's like the total opposite because like I barely have a following on Instagram. Same. And I've had that account for like 6 or 7 years, and like no one has ever DM'd me for a booking. I don't get it. Me neither. I gave it an honest shot a while back, and I didn't see anything off it either. I didn't even see a lot of following. Like I'm having the same issue with Twitter. I don't know how to actually get people to follow you. I get lots of retweets and likes, but how do you grow? Where's the water? Like, there's no growing here. Exactly. I haven't figured it out yet. Yeah. Like, my success on social media has been Facebook. Like, for real. Because, like, my page has almost 3,000 followers. Yeah. And, like, people, like, DM me for stuff. And, like, I pay for advertisements. And I get, like, response off of that. But, like, I've used like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, basically every like social media platform that's been in existence over like the last like 12 or 14 years. And for some reason, I've only found success like on Facebook. Yeah. Like, and who knows why that is. I think wedding photography and cinematography like that kind of stayed niched around Facebook because, back in the day before there was social media, the ideology was you go to a wedding, you shoot the wedding, one of those bridesmaids is going to get married next. Yeah. I was told this by a lot of photographers. Someone there. So you hand out cards. You make sure they remember you, and that's where the charisma comes in and all that. Now Facebook kind of does that hand in hand. Like all her and her bridesmaids are there on Facebook, and if they're going to a wedding or plotting a wedding, they're going to be involved in a lot of each other's posts with, oh, look at this, look at that. Like it writes itself. I think Facebook was more tailor-made for networking wedding stuff, more than anything else I can think of outside. If you want to try Pinterest, but I didn't really understand that. I'm trying to get into Pinterest because it's confusing. Yeah, because I've actually heard that Google actually like ranks images based off of Pinterest. Really? Yeah, and like there's like a huge amount of synergy between like Pinterest and like images. Never got it. I never got Pinterest. I guess I should try. So there's all these avenues. Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot, but I think Facebook's just the best one for it. Yeah. People spend a lot of their lives there. Yeah. So it's just more liable for them to bounce you to a bride or otherwise. And then I will say this: I think in some cases the ego kind of shows up. Like if you go and you knock it out at a wedding, where it's like, well, people see it, and like when they want your work, they go, "I want that." Yeah. And so it's like you kind of capitalize on that. You put out stuff, You use the wedding like I would a wrestling show. They come to you, the potential clients, and then you send them away with a good impression of yourself. Exactly. So, TJ, do you have any like final thoughts, any things you want to say to the audience? Well, I will say this, clapping back, if you are creative and you're wanting to pursue this field, going back to the college thing we were talking about at the beginning of this, My professor told me a long time ago, like, a degree is just a degree. I will say that in the 10 years I've done video and film everywhere, I have never been once asked about my college credentials. Never once.
Me either.
I have shot for huge labels. I have shot for national TV. I have shot for major sports companies, and none of them cared. All they care about your portfolio.
Yeah.
So I would say that I don't want anybody else out there making the same mistake I did. If you feel like you need to go to college, it's a great opportunity to network. Yeah. And you can learn a lot of useful stuff, but consider it carefully. Because I know that, like, I probably could have gotten away with saving my money in my particular case. I'm not disparaging any institutions or anything like that, but there's a lot of information out there. You know, I know YouTube is, you can literally learn just about everything you need from YouTube, honestly. It's about applying the knowledge that matters, more so than what kind of paper you have. Because I know guys that have master's degrees in film, and they're flipping burgers like anyone else. It's all about the individual.
I totally agree. It's all about, like, your skill set and your drive and your willingness to hustle and get out there.
It is. It's about. I think the individual determines a lot more than where you went to school or even what camera you're using. Yeah. You know. So if you're a creative and you want to create, that's all you have to do. Just create.
I agree. Well, guys, this has been Sparking Fire. TJ, thank you so much for stopping in, and stay tuned for next episode next Sunday. Bye.
Bye.